Every 4 years, the torch is passed. A new nation takes up the mantle of Olympus and begins a quest to foster a great coming together, to rally the world round the flame of ancient tradition, to burn away the chaos of reality, and release a pure spirit of fraternity once more onto the fields of play.
Well, the idea started in a bar with Michel Barnier. We were having, I think it was a fondue, cheese fondue that is, and we said, geez, how can we improve the road system here? How can we advance all the investments that are needed to have a nice highway all the way to Albertville and then 4 lanes freeway? And we said, well, there's a few ways, but the best is probably to get the Olympic Games. And so that was December of 1981.
There is a fire that burns inside us all. A flame of desire that drives mankind to do more than simply exist.
Ça va, t'es en forme?
Ouais.
Ouais, t'as bien dormi?
Fallait bien que je cours et tout comme ça.
Tu courras pas trop vite, hein?
Non, non.
Hein? Qu'ils te suivent derrière. D'accord?
It is this flame that draws us all together. To feel its heat. To see by its light the goals that are achievable for those who choose to strive for excellence in their lives. In some, the fire burns brighter, and it is to these chosen few the rest of us are drawn for many and varied reasons. Some come to watch and wonder, entranced by the flame and all it represents. Others come to fuel the blaze, to make it grow with their emotion and encouragement. Still others are driven to participate. The role of onlooker will not quench the burning. It is these chosen few who carry the fire deep within themselves that must endure the true sacrifice, who must live the dedication and forever fuel the flame with their desire to be something more. a living map. Lines drawn by statesmen, crossed by soldiers, taken up now by dreamers who join their hopes hand to hand. Boundaries become a thing of the past. Everyday concerns fall into shadows as the torch is passed one to another until 5,500 kilometers and 5,500 hearts are illuminated with its blaze. Through 57 days, through countless communities, these volunteers, urged on by their countrymen, unite in a commitment to this symbol of peace and passion, this gift of the ancient gods. As it makes its way toward a group of small villages high in the Savoie that will hold, for a time, the attention of the world, waiting for the moment when time goes so fast, it seems to be standing still. Representing the 12 nations of the new European community, a symbolic preamble hails the arrival of athletes from 64 countries. They, along with French President François Mitterrand, are welcomed by organizing committee co-presidents Michel Barnier and Jean-Claude Killy.
That moment, that was the opening of the games, and it was the end of the entire process, the end of 11 years of hard work. But there's nothing you can do anymore, as I said before, and no returning back. The thing is on, and you have to go all the way. That is 16 perfect days, if possible. If you have been smart, it's going to show. If you have been dumb, it's going to be perceived by a couple of billion people throughout the world. And the satisfaction to have made it all the way to the first day is already tremendous.
Dazzling heights they're bound to attain. Russia, Uzbekistan, Belarus, Kazakhstan and the Ukraine.
Pas une discipline où elle soit démunie, la redoutable équipe des États-Unis.
I think that all kind of opening ceremony, the closing ceremony, or every kind of ceremony in the Olympic Games is great because you feel really well. It's in the end of your dreams that you feel you work all the year for this moment.
Ja, ist ein irres Gefühl, wenn man da einmarschiert und die ganzen Leute schauen uns an zu. Also da kriegt man richtige Gänsehaut und das kribbelt immer. Das ist eigentlich ein super Gefühl. Ja.
I was like a child, 15, on a fabulous spectacle. In French, we say to the organization, chapeau.
Pendant les 15 jours à venir, nous souhaitons vous emmener au sommet de l'exploit, de la beauté, de l'émotion. C'est notre ultime défi, le vrai.
Jamais, jamais nous ne regretterons d'avoir mis tout notre enthousiasme au service d'une certaine idée de la France, en même temps qu'au service de l'idéal olympique.
Ce sera un nouveau succès pour le mouvement olympique, expression et symbole d'un monde uni, luttant pour la fraternité et le désir de paix.
Je proclame l'ouverture des Jeux olympiques d'Albertville, célébrant les 16e Jeux olympiques d'hiver.
They call it the toughest downhill ever. A prototype for all downhills to come. The future of the sport. But whatever the expletives, one thing is sure. The Face de Boulevard is not just another steep mountainside with a few gates marking the way from top to bottom. There is something more here. Something that speaks to the heart of a racer. The first full day of competition brings what many feel is the premier event of the Games. For Jean-Claude Killy and the organizers, blue skies and sunshine have made this day a success already. 30,000 people stream into the famed resort of Val d'Isère, banners waving, bells ringing, ready to cheer their heroes, a continuation of the opening ceremony celebration the night before. They have come together to watch the speed merchants of skiing compete for Olympic glory. This is the Super Bowl of Europe, the most prestigious competition of the most popular sport in this part of the world. 80% of this high-speed, high-tech course can be seen from the finish area, and the spectators are ready for action.
It's a beautiful sunny day in Val d'Isère as the first big event of these games kicks off. 23-year-old Patrick Ortlieb is the first man out of the gate in this men's downhill. He's a man with a lot of seconds and thirds on his World Cup record, but he's still looking for that first big win. He's a strong racer, but at 6'3", 220 pounds, the Face de de Boulevard is not really his kind of course. It's way too tight and turny for such a big athlete, and he's not really expected to be in medal contention here today. Still, he's looking good on the top. You think with tremendous strength to hold that tight line down this tough course. Oh, little skid there. Back on line. Unlike a lot of racers, Ortlieb says he loves to start number one. He says that way he doesn't have to think about how fast anyone before him is gone, and he can ski his own race. And so far today, that philosophy seems to be working. He is really cooking. Into the Ancali passage. He's a little wide. Oh, awfully close to the fence there, but he hangs on. He's an excellent glider, and the bottom half of this course allows for some of that technique. Here he comes into the finish. 150.37, a very fast time for Austria's Patrick Ortlieb. And that'll be the mark the rest of these racers will be shooting for here today.
One by one, they follow. And one by one, they fall victim to Ortlieb's time. Those who make it to the finish many of the world's biggest names in ski racing succumb to the treacherous boulevard. Most of the top seed are down, and still Patrick Ortlieb waits. Back at the top, more racers contemplate the run ahead. Among them, 24-year-old Franck Picard of France. 2 years earlier, Picard was still riding the wave of 2 Olympic medals from Calgary. He was first seed in World Cup downhill and Super G, even winning in GS. Then, in the fall of '91, a knee injury began to unravel his success. Less than a month before the Olympics, in the Garmisch downhill, he finished a dismal 70th. He had hit bottom. He left the team and came home to ponder his future.
When I took this break, I wanted to quit completely the World Cup circus. I wanted to live a new life because too much taking, it's bad. We built this hotel 2 years ago, and it's really important for me than besides ski, because when you are racing, you are very special. You are taking risking your life sometimes. And when I come back here in Les Saisies, in my hotel, it's quiet. I can walk really easily. During this winter, I was thinking a lot, of course, and the main question in my head was, am I able to do it again? And then I watched the race of Wengen on TV. The downhill was a big image for me, and it meant that, for me, it was meaning that I can run again, I can race again, I can ski again.
So Franck Picard was back, but the big question still remained. Could he ski like the old days? Or would the fear, the nagging injury, and the unsettling results of the past year combine to take their toll on this young Frenchman, as they had only weeks before? For this was not just another race, and not just another course.
Talking about the fast of Bellewaerde is a wonderful souvenir for me because it's a race where there is everything. It's really technical from the start till the end. There is no rest. You get to move every time and think about the next measure, the next difficulties. So there's always something happening in this downhill.
Now the contemplation must end. It is time to see if the break had pulled him together or if it had just dragged him deeper into a hole of depression from which there was no escape.
I was at the start and with my bib number 23, so it was very far from the first. I knew that Albertville with the number 1 was the best. I knew that the snow condition may change because the sun was really hot this day. The main problem for me was the start. I was losing a lot of time on the training runs on this part. I take maximum risk on this first part, then going really fast with no mistake at all. At this moment I was thinking maybe we can do a perfect race today. And then I arrived on the Ancoli passage and I was so fast then I didn't realize my speed at this moment, so I take a line a little bit wide and I lost maybe an half a second on this way. I thought to myself at this moment, no problem, you've done a perfect race before. Right now you can still catching a medal. And at the end of this running, of this fast Bellewaerde, it was great because I was feeling the crowd behind me. I was hearing the crowd under my helmet, so it was very loud. It was really famous for me because 2 months before, I was 70th place in Garmisch, and then second 2 months after. It was wonderful.
Finishing a scant 5/100ths of a second behind Ortlieb and bumping Motter into third, Picard pulls off one of the classic comeback stories of all time.
France, Picard, France! Frank Picard, France!
He does not wear the gold medal, but Frank Picard has won a far more important victory. The self-doubt that plagued him for more than a year is gone. He has reclaimed his place among the best in the world. The last time an Olympics was held in France, the French had another downhill racer of some note. It was in Grenoble in 1968 that a young Jean-Claude Killy accomplished a feat achieved only by one other man in history, a triple gold medal sweep of the Alpine events. 24 years later, his Olympic experience has come full circle to Albertville.
Many people have come to me and said, well, this is your fourth gold medal. But it was not. It's very different. It's no comparison, no possible comparison. Because in one hand, you have one individual that wants to go all the way, and it's him alone against the rest of it. He has nothing to do with the organization, nothing to do with the opening ceremony. He does not belong there. That's how I felt when I walked into the stadium in Grenoble. When we got the games in 1986, I immediately went to national television and said, the games does not belong to myself or to Michel Barnier, does not belong to the Savoyard, it does belong to the country.
It is time. Time to close out all thoughts but those of victory. Time to contemplate the ride ahead. And then there is no time except to go. reputation as the most dangerous of all Olympic sports was well-founded. It was not allowed a debut until the 9th Winter Olympics in Innsbruck, 1964. And then, just 2 weeks before the competition began, one slider was killed and 2 more severely injured.
Aber man lernt von klein auf. Eigentlich für uns ist es nicht mehr so gefährlich. Vielleicht schaut es wilder aus, wenn man zuschaut.
For sisters Doris and Angelika Neuner, who grew up in the shadow of the infamous Eagles Luge run, danger was not a factor.
Ja, der Reiz am Rodeln ist eigentlich die Geschwindigkeit und es ist einfach, man muss ganz genau fahren und man muss auch ganz konzentriert fahren, weil man muss ja jede Kleinigkeit oder die Kurven genau kennen, damit man auch genau fahren kann. Und da ist man eigentlich total konzentriert und die Geschwindigkeit dazu, das ist schon sehr reizvoll.
The home team managed a lone bronze medal at those 1964 games. But since then, no Austrian woman has made it to the Olympic podium in luge. These 2 sisters hope to change all that and put a stop to the virtual stranglehold the Germans have had on Olympic medals for nearly 30 years.
We were aware of the fact that the Germans are the most powerful nation in the luge, and of course we tried to compare our runs to theirs, but basically we tried to concentrate on our own abilities, on our own strength, and try to bring that feeling to the athletes so that they can concentrate on what they're strong at.
Ja, die Angelika und die sind so in privaten gute Freunde, also nicht nur Schwestern, sondern wir tun so auch viel zusammen. Und es ist sicher ein großer Ansporn, dass wir zusammen trainieren können, weil jeder baut den anderen irgendwie auf. Wenn jetzt jemand ein Tief hat, nachher baut die anderen an auf und eben so gegenseitig, dass wir uns auch viel arbeiten.
I think that Doris and Angelika have gained an enormous amount of confidence over the last 1 or 2 years. And basically, I think when they started realizing that the only thing they have to do is concentrate on their own abilities and not to worry about who they can beat or who they're not, they started being very successful.
Confidence, concentration, and conditioning combined to do their part. Except for a valiant comeback attempt by Germany's Susi Erdmann, the Austrians outdistanced all other competitors to capture the only sibling gold and silver medals of the Games.
Ja, wir haben sicher mehr trainiert als früher und das Material hat sich auch um einiges gebessert, auch mit den Trainern und in der Mannschaft passt alles super und ja, es hat einfach alles zusammengepasst und vielleicht ist das auch ein Grund, dass wir vor den Deutschen waren.
Ja, wo ich angefangen habe zu rodeln, da habe ich mir eigentlich nie gedacht, dass ich eine Medaille gewinne. Und dann mit der Zeit habe ich mir eben gehofft, ja, also es war schon ein Traum, Olympiateilnahme überhaupt. Nach dem Olympia selber, da war nachher sicher der Traum, dass ich eine Medaille gewinne. Aber dass ich nachher gleich Gold gewinne, das hätte ich mir nie gedacht.
High in the Beaufortain Mountains, $37 million worth of brand new concrete and steel serpentines its way down the mountainside to the village of La Plagne. It is day 2 of the men's single luge. 3 of 4 runs have been completed. Now it all comes down to one final ride, 16 turns. No brakes, no steering mechanisms. These high-tech sleds move at speeds approaching 70 miles per hour, the runners gliding over a thin sheet of water formed on the steel blades. For this final run, the leaders start in reverse order.
We're down to the leaders now, and here comes Markus Schmidt of Austria for his final run in the men's single luge. He's better known as a double slider, so it's a bit of a surprise to find him standing third after these first 3 runs. He's less than 4/10 of a second out of first. He's looking very smooth as he fights the pressure of 3 to 4 Gs through this high bank. He finishes with a combined time of 3:02.942, enough to give him the lead for the moment. Now his teammate, Markus Prock, currently in second. They say Prock is battling a golden ghost because the last time he made it to the top of the victory podium was way back in the 1987 World Championship. You can bet he won't be holding back today. And there he is, waiting up in the start, our leader after 3 runs, Germany's Georg Hackl. Meanwhile, Prock is into the final turn and across the finish with another solid run. His combined time of 3:02.669 bumped Schmidt, and we have a new leader. But will it hold? Now Hackl blasts onto the track, aligning his arms and legs for minimum wind resistance. He knows what he has to do. There's no time for reflection now and no room for nerve. He's looking very relaxed in those turns, and that's key. Tense muscles will work against the motion of the sled and cause those blades to dig into the ice, reducing speed. Luge is the only sport in the Olympics measured in 1/1000th of a second, and at 70 miles an hour, that computes to a mere 1 inch. Here he comes into the final turn, looking for an upgrade from his silver medal in Calgary. And he does it, slipping past Brock by only 0.3 of a second. It's a happy scene for the Germans in the finish house. After 2 World Championship gold medals, Georg Hackl can finally revel in Olympic gold.
It's a very great feeling. It's best, and it's the greatest success in my life, and super.
Since the '88 Olympics, when she set a world record winning the gold in the 500 meters, America's Bonnie Blair has been virtually unbeatable in this event.
Being undefeated in both the 500 and the 1,000, naturally, I guess I'm going to be the favorite. But both of my races are so short, you never know what's going to happen.
Blair is a strong contender for 3 gold medals in Albertville. The 500 meters is only the first step. She has been chasing and fending off East Germans for years, but today her strongest competition could come from China's Ye Xiaobo. Back and clean after a 15-month suspension for blood doping, she has turned into Blair's toughest challenger. The Germans are far from out of it, though. 5-time Olympian Christa Ludig set a world record in the 500 in Calgary, only to have it eclipsed minutes later by Blair. That summer in Seoul, she captured another silver medal in sprint cycling, making her the only athlete ever to win medals in winter and summer games in the same year. She finishes only 6/100ths behind Xiaobo.
I rely on a lot of instinct. That gun goes off, you just go, and in a sense you try to blank things out of your mind and just go on natural instincts.
That instinct, along with one of the fastest starts in all of speed skating, gives Blair an edge. A consummate technician, her style is a marked contrast to Nina's. She holds true to form, nipping Xiaobo by less than 0.2 of a second to take the gold. The gutsy Chinese skater becomes the first Asian woman ever to win a medal in a Winter Olympics. Germany's Ludig finishes only 6/100ths behind her for the bronze in a race that saw the top 6 skaters finish within a half a second.
I guess, the main thing about the Olympics, especially like a sport like speed skating, we're only looked at almost every 4 years. So for us, it almost seems bigger than life because we kind of tend to be forgotten about the other years.
The races to come, the pressure to win again, the notoriety, the press, all for the moment are gone. The cheers of the crowd and the sounds of her national anthem allow only the emotion of achieving the highest honor sport can offer, an Olympic gold medal. The first hurdle is cleared for Bonnie Blair. The hard and violent world of ice in one arena is transformed in another to one of beauty and grace. Rowdy crowds screaming for blood become sedate rows of contemplation softened by classical music. Sticks and helmets are exchanged for makeup and flowing costumes. Face-offs and team defense give way to twist lifts, spin combos, and spiral step sequences. Whistle-blowing referees are replaced by stern-faced judges with computerized score pads who will determine the fate of the athletes competing in pairs figure skating. the battle for gold becomes a search for perfection as the competition gets underway. Combining artistry with danger at fast break speed, these couples are judged on their ability to bring the magic of ballet onto the ice. The Russians have won pairs gold at every Olympics since 1964. In the original program, the legacy remains intact as Natalia Mishkuteniak and Artur Dmitriev, along with unified teammates Yelena Bechki and Denis Petrov, capture first and second, respectively. It is well known that the world of figure skating is one of waiting your turn. It is also known that if you skate clean, you have a chance to win. The pressure of 2 billion pairs of eyes can cause concentration to lapse. And that's just what happens to Canadians Isabelle Brasseur and Lloyd Eisler as a fall drops them to third, tarnishing their hopes for gold. In the free program, 4.5 minutes must be packed with the most focused concentration, the most precise execution, and the most emotionally generated skating these athletes can conjure up. On this final night of pairs competition, pressure comes from yet another quarter. Armed with a new computerized scoring system developed especially for these games by IBM, the judges awarded exceptionally low marks to some of the earlier couples, bringing on the kind of abuse one might expect of a hockey crowd when a referee has made a questionable call. Ahead after the original program, Mishkuteniak and Dmitriev are the first of the leaders to skate. Their marks will set the pace for the final 2 couples who follow. True to their heritage, they take advantage of Natalia's extraordinary flexibility with innovative moves like Natasha's spin. Tamara's spiral, named after their coach, enchants the audience. The judges, too, are enchanted, giving the highest marks of the evening thus far. Many say the reasons Bechki and Petrov have not performed up to the level of their teammates is because Yelena gets nervous and sometimes beats herself. Here, in the biggest pressure cooker of them all, this husband-wife team can perhaps relax in the knowledge that this is their last year of competition. The program is solid and executed almost perfectly. Their marks will make it very tough for the Canadians who follow. Before the Olympics, Lloyd Eisler brashly predicted that they could catch rivals Mishkuteniak and Dmitriev at the Games. To this end, they've added another double axel and a throw triple loop to this program, more of the long, high throws for which they are renowned because of their difference in size. But this would not be their night. Another fall mars an otherwise excellent performance, and they must settle for the bronze. The evening belongs to the unified team, with Mishkuteniak and Dmitriev taking an expected gold, and Bechki and Petrov closing their Olympic career with a silver. Of all the figure skating disciplines, ice dancing remains the most true to the original tradition of the sport. While men's, women's, and pairs skating have all begun to require the incorporation of much more difficult triple and even quadruple jumps, ice dancing, perhaps by virtue of its name alone, has refused to evolve beyond the simple elegance, beauty, and grace that has always captivated audiences. In reality, none of these moves are easy. But while the big jumps require a rather lengthy setup time, creating a sometimes uncomfortable pause in the flow of the performance, ice dancers must strive to form a continuous blend between music and movement. It has only been an Olympic sport since 1976, yet in that time, every gold medal but one has gone to a Russian couple.
Magic moments in sports during the Olympic Games. Yes, I can recall one or two. One was the ice dancing, Ponomarenko and Klimova. That was absolutely divine. Years of training, years of hard work, and it looked so flawless, so easy, so light. It was, I will never forget that.
They hold silver medals from 5 world championships, gold from 2 more. In the '84 Sarajevo Olympics, they captured a bronze. In '88, a silver. In Albertville, they seek a golden crown to a long and illustrious career. Carrying a comfortable lead after the compulsories, they are free to push the limits of their sport. With the gold medal all but theirs, they skate with the confident assurance of true champions. Their performance speaks for itself, and at the end, the crowd agrees. Klimova and Ponomarenko have secured their place in the long Russian heritage of figure skating success.
Take any young kid and tell him about the Olympic Games. He doesn't know what it is, eventually. But it rings a bell. It will ring a bell in his head somehow. It makes people dream. Kids get out of problems or away from problems, ghettos, trouble, because of that idea of being in the Olympics somewhere, sometime down the road.
When I was little, in a sense, it was always my dad's dream for me to be in the Olympics, win an Olympic medal. And I'm the youngest of 6 kids, so at the age of 2, my family got me on skates as soon as they could. My feet didn't fit in the skates, so they left my shoes on, put the shoes right inside the skates. And then probably when I was about 16 is when I started the Olympic style skating. So I think in a sense I had a real gradual process, and I think that's why I still really enjoy what I'm doing right now. Instead of maybe being thrown right into something and zooming right to the top, you don't get that mental burnout. And I still feel as fresh as ever. I still love what I'm doing just as much now as I ever have.
With her fan club in vocal attendance and her mother front and center, Bonnie prepares for her final event, the 1,000 meters.
Go to the start.
Come on, Bonnie, come on, Bonnie. Oh, Bonnie,
They have traveled from her home in Illinois to cheer their champion to what they hope will be a second victory in Albertville. In Calgary, her double medal performance earned her the bronze in this event. Today, the press, the crowds, and most of all, Bonnie Blair expect more. She skates in the third pair, knowing her strongest competition will come later.
The 1,000 is still, it's an all-out sprint, but it's more controlled. You know, you'll put one arm up on your back. Once you get up to speed, you think of building the turns, working them to their max, maybe relax a little bit on the straightaways.
Her picture-perfect form looks relaxed. Her time indicates anything but as she blisters the track in 1:21.90, almost 2 seconds faster than anyone so far. The fastest time yet today. But even as her fans exult, her mother cautions against premature celebration. There are many more racers yet to come. In the 500 meters, China's Ye Xiaobo had finished just 2/10 behind Blair for the silver. Paired with Germany's Monique Garbrecht, she wants nothing more than to best her American rival in the last of the sprint events. Blair can only watch. Her part in the drama is already played. Driving through the finish, Xiaobo misses the mark by a scant 0.02 of a second, with Garbrecht only 1/10 behind.
Somebody up there is watching over her, and I'm sure it's probably your dad, helping, talking to somebody up there that must like her.
On the award ceremony, they were able to bring my family in front of me, and that was really nice. It was nice to be able to see their faces as receiving my medals and the flowers and hearing the national anthem. That was very special.
Still up, Chris. Go, guys. 58 secondes de 54 maintenant à l'arrivée de Allemagne 2. Time I finished for Germany 2, 58.54. Do it, guys, come on!
In La Plania, as crowds gather for the switch from luge events to the bobsled, the atmosphere is festive. They have come to be entertained, to be thrilled, to experience all they can from the first French Olympics since 1968. But anticipation of the events to come creates a much different mood for the athletes at the top of the mountain, preparing to take their shot at the greatest prize in their sport.
You've got a lot of behind the scenes in bobsledding that people don't see. It's not just push the sled, get in and ride down. You've got sled work. You've got to carry these 600-pound sleds from point A to point B. Then you got to, runners to polish. And so it is definitely a team effort, and you need everybody on your team, to give 100% effort to be at your best.
Well, you have to be a team. You're working with 2 guys on the 2-man and then 3 other guys with the 4-man. So one thing you got to remember is you got to be able to hit the sled at the right time. You all want to know the track. The driver and I, we want to know the track. We want to be able to push the sled off the start because that's very important. And then the 4-man, you all 4 want to be able to hit the sled at the same time. So I think everything is a big team.
But the concept of a team goes much deeper in Albertville.
It's just a meeting of all these people in a friendly atmosphere, but yet there's that excitement of competition and the fact that everyone's trying to do their best and they're pulling out all the stops to do the best for their country. It's the ultimate.
It's a chance for the whole world to get together and compete under one flag.
The Olympics, to me, is just an unbelievable natural high that, all the best in the world are coming together and to compete and to represent your nation in the Olympic Games is just a thrill that'll never be equaled.
Well, I think that's what's so great because everyone here at the Olympics, we're competitors, but yet we can go over to the cafeteria, we can get along great. Sometimes politics get involved with so many things, and it's just sort of, I hate to say messes everything up, but it does.
In the 2-man event, everyone knew going in that the team to beat was Swiss 1. Led by the great Gustav Vader, they did not disappoint.
We had been world champion 3 times, we had been European champion, we had been World Cup winner, but I had been 4th in Calgary at the Olympics, and I worked only for a victory like that.
Vader and brakeman Donat Auckland blazed through the finish with a combined time of 4:03.26, 3/10 of a second ahead of the German #1 sled. Germany #2 takes bronze.
For me, it's very difficult to believe that it is possible. I need some days to realize that we are Olympic champion. We dreamed about, but it was a dream, and now it's reality, and it's very, 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 very nice.
In the 4-man event, Ingo Appelt once again leads Austria's #1 team onto the track. They have won 2 of the first 3 runs, but need a good one here to earn the gold. At the finish, brakeman Harold Winkler personifies their result.
It's very difficult to describe this feeling because it's the greatest success for me I ever had, and I can't believe it now. I think I am dreaming, and I'm worried about that I will wake up sometime.
You never know where it starts for an athlete. The seeds, I think it grows in you. What can I do today to be good 5 years from now? Every morning. How can I utilize that day so I don't waste it, lose hours of it, in order to be there 5 or 6 or 7 years from now?
Only 2 days after their combined competition, the women of the alpine disciplines gather once again to test their mettle against the Roc de Fer. For Hillary Lind, it's been a long, hard climb since her World Junior Championship gold medal in 1986.
It seems like I've been banging my head against the wall for a lot of years.
Indeed, there hasn't been an American woman on the Olympic downhill podium since 1976. And though the Canadian team has seen more recent medals, they too have been few and far between. 25-year-old Karen Lee Gartner is here to change all that.
Every sacrifice I've had and every knee injury I've had and all the surgeries that they've done on me, I think it's all worth it right now for this. I've waited a long time.
If there ever was a place for dreams to come true, it's the Olympic Games. Just 3 days earlier, Austria's Petra Kronberger won gold in the combined on this very mountain, fulfilling her first dream. Now, she will try for a second. Austrian veteran Veronika Wallinger has finished in the top 6 in World Cup downhill standings every year since 1988, even though she has not won a World Cup race. 19-year-old Katja Seisinger captured 4 medals for Germany in the 1990 World Junior Championships. She's had good results on this Maribel course and has raced well in the early part of the season. Canada's Ken Reid, one of the course designers.
Well, I think with the slight bit of new snow that's falling, plus the fact that we've had so much new snow in the last couple of days, I would say that a higher start number is important, but still I think that the skiers that have been dominant through the season are going to be favorites.
True to that prediction, early times are somewhat slow. Then Katja Seisinger, wearing bib number 10, blasts across the line nearly a full second faster than anyone before her. Right behind her, Kronberger has the fastest split times yet at the top of the course, but fades on the bottom half to finish just 6/100ths behind the German. Next to come is Canadian Karen Lee Gartner.
I went all or nothing right out of the start. It's the last thing I said to our start coach up there, and I pushed out of the gate, and I knew it was my opportunity to come home with a medal, and I tried everything in my power.
Her first 2 intermediate times are slow. Then she begins to pick up speed. By the finish, she knocks Seisinger out of the lead by just over 1/10 of a second.
When I came down and saw number 1, I knew I'd ski great and I would stay top 3, so that made me feel pretty good right there.
Next, it's the Austrian Wallinger, looking for that first big victory. Once again, slow split times on the top give way to speed on the bottom, but it's not enough for first place. Just out of the first seed at number 16, the USA's Hillary Lind readies herself, knowing that the later numbers have recorded faster times.
My main thinking was that I had to have a really good top part of the course, because that's where you really had to be aggressive and kind of gnarly and really be forceful in what you were going to do. I didn't ski it as well as I could have. It made me mad while I was doing it, so that by the time I got on that first traverse, I was, you know, talking to myself saying, come on, you can't throw this away, you know, this is it, this is the time to do it.
Lind turns on the afterburners to record the fastest time of the day on the bottom half of the course, nipping Wallinger by a scant 3/100ths of a second for the silver medal. There is still no American woman with an Olympic gold medal in downhill, but her performance matches the USA's previous best when countrywoman Penny Patou took home a silver in the Squaw Valley Games of 1960.
Tons of people have already come up to me and said, you know, go for gold in '94. And I'm like, that's so long away for me. But at the same time, I have to be expecting that kind of pressure 2 years from now. I mean, I have to be preparing for that already.
For Karen Lee Gartner, the dream is truly a golden crown on a long career.
And I had a dream in French that said Médaille d'Or, and they said my name, so I must have been dreaming this somewhere along the way. And I don't speak French, so I don't know why I knew that.
Le Pros de Saint-Bon, one of the tiny hamlets of Courchevel, is home to the two newest brothers of the oldest Nordic skiing event. That's what they're calling the two ski jumps that will have their inaugural competition during these games. Little brother measures 90 meters, while big brother is a whopping 120 meters. It is here that an elite group of athletes will launch themselves into space, seeking to fly like birds. Crews, both civilian and military, part of more than 8,000 volunteers taking part in these games, have spent long hours preparing the in-runs and landing areas. Despite all the hard work, their enthusiasm still manages to bring together a unique display of Olympic spirit. Laying out flat over the skis, their arms held tight against the body to act as an airfoil, the hands can actually be used as a kind of steering mechanism for minor adjustments in flight. In Courchevel, a new and controversial technique has an increasing number of athletes moving their skis into a V shape, producing more lift. All arguments against it quickly succumb to longer and longer rides. Competition day. Like a flock of eagles, they gather, preparing themselves for flight. These are the world's elite, and they've come to see who can fly farthest. They use a variety of techniques and equipment, but there is only one mindset: to ultimately land on the winner's podium. Their fate is determined by two jumps. The first was held early this morning. Now it is time for the final attempt to decide who will be Olympic champion. Tension mounts as the athletes make their way to the top of Little Brother. Final adjustments are made. The crowd waits impatiently below as the distance judges move into position, each 1 meter apart. In the tower, style judges contemplate marks for technique and form. Finland's 16-year-old phenomenon, Toni Nieminen. His first jump of 88 meters was good enough for third place going into this final round. His second attempt looks good. 84.5 meters. Will it be good enough? Austrian veteran Ernst Vettori holds down second place after a first attempt of 88 meters. At 28, he says the V technique has made him feel reborn. His second jump is the picture of consistency. The crowd's reaction tells first-round leader Martin Holworth what he must do. Vettori's combined points give him the lead. All the pressure now falls on the shoulders of this 17-year-old Austrian. On his first jump, he uncorked a 90.5 meter effort, the longest of the competition. If he can match it, the gold will be his. Style and technique are excellent, but the pressure is too much. He falls short at 83 meters and must settle for silver. Still, there is plenty of reason for celebration.
Ja, ich bin überglücklich, dass ich Gold machen können. Das ist für mich das Schönste, was in meiner sportlichen Laufbahn passieren kann. Warte, Toni!
Ja, ist ein herrliches Gefühl. Das sind meine ersten Olympischen Spiele und ich mache gleich beim ersten Wettbewerb Silber.
Holworth will be back in the 120 meters just 8 days away, as will Nieminen, who happily gave up his seat at the Finland hockey match for standing room on the victory podium. Not far to the west of Mirabel lies the small resort town of Les Saisies. Known for its heavy snowfalls, the altitude and terrain here make it the perfect choice for the cross-country events. Here, too, the spirit of the Olympics illuminates hearts and minds.
For me, it's difficult to put words on it, but it's a lightness of my heart, something I always dreamed about.
A leader of the powerful Norwegian team, 28-year-old Vegard Ulvang has already captured gold medals in the first two events, the 30-kilometer classical and the 10-kilometer sprint.
For me, the Olympics has always been a dream, and especially cross-country is it's very popular in Norway, and it has long traditions, perhaps the longest in any country in the world.
Countryman Bjorn Daly, 4 years Ulvang's junior, finished right behind his teammate for the silver in the 30K, then succumbed to his weakness of starting too fast and fell out of the medals in the sprint. The 15-kilometer pursuit race proves once again that these Norwegians did not come here to lose, as Daly overcomes his fast start tendency to capture his first gold. Ulvang gains the lead over Italians Marco Albarello and Giorgio Vanzetta and sprints to a silver medal. The first two women's events are a showcase for 3 athletes. Finland's Marjut Lukarinen, who emerged as a contender only recently at the '91 World Championships, has been the only athlete thus far to match the strength and skill of the unified teams Lyubov Egorova and Elena Valby. In the 15-kilometer classical, Lukarinen slipped ahead of Valby to take the silver behind Egorova's gold. Then in the 5-kilometer sprint, it was Lukarinen all the way, with Egorova close behind and Valby hanging on for another bronze. Today, however, a new face makes herself known. Italy's Stefania Belmondo turned 23 just 1 month before the Games. She had forged a solid second place for herself in the '91 overall World Cup standings, picking up 2 World Championship medals along the way. After a 5th and a 4th in the first 2 races of these Olympics, she hits her stride in this 10-kilometer pursuit, taking the silver. Lukarinen drops to 4th as Egorova adds a second gold to her medal collection, and Valby collects her 3rd bronze in a row.
Per la carriera, per il futuro, sicuramente questo è una cosa importante, perché le medaglie alle Olimpiadi sono delle cose che rimangono nella storia, quindi a me fanno piacere.
With the Finns out of contention for the remaining relays and distance events, the Italians seem to be positioning themselves as the only ones able to challenge the Norwegian men and the women of the unified team. A narrow road winds up the hill above Albertville to Conflans, a medieval village constructed in the 1300s, a fitting place to contemplate the origins of sport and the spiritual makeup of an athlete.
Io sono di religione cattolica e credo molto in Dio, tantissimo, perché nel nostro sport e nella vita che conduciamo non siamo mai a casa, siamo sempre lontano dalle persone che veramente ci vogliono bene. Ci sono dei momenti di difficoltà, dei momenti di crisi, dei momenti in cui ci sono dei grandi problemi da superare, e sinceramente se io non avessi Dio con me, nel senso che non credessi in Dio, avrei veramente delle grandi difficoltà tante volte.
The enigma of motivation that drives them to be the very best, to overcome the adversity of endless training, injuries, and the failures that must be endured to achieve the goals for which they strive so long and hard, takes many forms.
My psychologist said to me at one point, you know, you do realize that prayer is sort of the original form of visualization. And I was like, really? And so I started to pray every day, and I would have a consistent quiet time. And, you know, I really believe that, you know, that there was God's grace with me, you know, at the Olympics, and that I was able to perform, you know, just better because I had a peace that I'd never really had at a competition.
It is more than the desire to win a race or even an Olympic medal. It is a driving force beyond sport that shapes their very lives. And for each of them, it is something different.
I feel that sometimes I have to be very within myself, and I almost call it light, and it has to sit in your stomach. And whenever it's there, you feel all together. And whenever you feel a little at ends wits, it's all in different directions, and that's when you have to sit and really meditate or whatever, and to bring back the why am I here, all the good things and the blessings, and all of a sudden it starts putting pieces and pieces back together, that it sits right here, and I almost call that the center of balance in life.
Regardless of the source, the strength to be the best must come from within. It is still the athlete, alone and unfettered, who must meet the challenge of greatness. Born out of the revolutionary American lifestyle of the 1960s, freestyle is the apt name for some of the wildest events in ski competition. Getting air is taken to gymnastic extremes by the daring men and women of aerials. And while ballet and aerials remain demonstration sports in Albertville, the mogul event has achieved full medal status, the pinnacle of recognition for a sport barely 20 years old. Donna Weinbrecht of the United States has dominated women's moguls almost since the day she first stepped onto the slopes.
Je connais bien Donna, ça fait plusieurs années que je skie et qu'elle est aussi dans le tour. Et je trouve que c'est vraiment une skieuse qui a une technique qui est très très particulière, une très très bonne technique, très très propre. Je trouve que c'est vraiment un métronome. Elle skie, c'est un ordinateur, c'est toujours parfait ce qu'elle fait, et c'est une fille très très difficile à battre.
However, in the semifinals earlier this morning, a mistake put her in second place behind another French athlete, Raphaël Monod. The wildly partisan crowd is tuned up for the final run, hoping that the first gold medals ever awarded in moguls will go to France.
And I found out that it was a more mental game. It is just not a normal World Cup where you, if you have a bad week, you could make it up next week, or you have something always to feel you could fix it, and this is like a one-shot deal. There was a lot of pressure. They had me as the most favorite for a goal since Jean-Claude Killy in 1968 or something, and things like that were rolling in my head. When I came in second the first day, and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, I was a little disappointed in myself. And when I put my run down, I came out at the start and I kind of missed my pop at the top. I did a spread and my leg kind of got away from me on the landing, and I was like, oh no, I gotta make this up somehow. So I just started really directing all my energy now on the skiing and making this the best skiing, because I made a mistake already. And it's a longer course than we're usually ski. It's like 270 meters. So by the time you get to the second air bump, you're a little winded. And so I hit that and just came a little short, and took that again and absorbed, got kind of thrown my knees into my chest, but it popped me back up and I went to the finish.
A tremendous effort, resulting in a top score and the lead with one racer left to go. Only her French comrade stands between her and the first gold medal for women ever awarded in moguls.
All in all, it wasn't so bad, but when I was watching her coming down, and she had a great spread up top, and she was just cooking down the middle section, but then all of a sudden I saw this kind of question, and she started slowing down and getting really kind of, it seemed like the nerves were overwhelming and kind of slowing down, and then she caught her tail somewhere and blew out, and I mean, it was really hard for me to watch. It dawned on me right away that I won the gold medal, but it was really hard for me to watch my, best person I compete against, Raphael, because I want her so much to do her best she can too. I wanted so much that we had all had a good contest and that we all skied up to our potential, and it was really hard to watch. And my coach grabbed me right away, and I was crying, and it was just more of an unbelievable feeling. But I really felt for Raphael. I really wanted her to be up there with me.
Enter Alberto Tomba.
Tutti sono contenti di quello che ho fatto. Adesso se vogliono che vada per girare film, è così nel mondo. Hollywood, tutti parlano, però io sono nato in Italia, ho la famiglia, sto ancora legato a loro. Aspettiamo 2 anni, poi vedo, ve lo dico.
The sun shines brightly once again in Val d'Isere, and the crowds are back, bolstered this time by more than 15,000 tifosi, the impassioned fan club of ski racing's crown prince.
Tomba, I believe, is an extraordinary individual. He's a lot smarter than he wants you to believe, and he has physical qualities that he is not supposed to have. He's too strong to be a slalom specialist, too heavy, too big, and yet he's the best in the world. He can accelerate all of a sudden, like this, and make the difference on 2 or 3 gates. He has the strength to keep the 2 skis parallel on a very steep slope, icy. Doesn't matter to him. He's so strong. He has a beautiful personality. He's able to laugh and relax, and 5 minutes before the start. He has done so much for the sport of skiing. We should have more Tombas. He's a star. We don't have too many stars in skiing, and we need stars. He's one.
At the top of the French Alps, the famed resort of Val d'Isere is once again host to the world's best in men's alpine skiing. Most athletes and coaches agree that giant slalom is the toughest discipline in all of skiing. The concentration and focus needed to control high speeds through tight turns is something at which only the best excel. And unlike the downhill and Super G, it must be done twice. A combined time over 2 runs on 2 different courses will determine the champion. With the run completed, it is no surprise that the lead is held by the infamous La Bamba. He is here to defend his gold medal in giant slalom from the last Olympics and to re-establish a dominance already supported by 2 World Cup GS titles and another in slalom, the result of his incredible 22 World Cup victories, all at the tender age of 25. After the first run, Switzerland's Paul Accola stands 4th, a mere 0.3 of a second out of first. He has been Tomba's main rival on the World Cup the past 2 years and would like nothing more than to bump him from the top of the podium here today. A gold medal in the Super G 2 days earlier has given Ketil André Amat the confidence to ski at his best in giant slalom as well. 3rd after the first run, this 21-year-old Norwegian has a legitimate shot at his 2nd medal if he can overcome the vision of Alberto Tomba, patiently waiting his turn at the top. After falling in both the downhill and the combined, the wily veteran Mark Girardelli came back to capture the silver medal in Super G. On track here in giant slalom as well, he finished the first run barely 0.1 of a second behind the Italian. Now he must put forth the ultimate effort in an attempt to overtake him for the gold. Now, all eyes turn to the top of the Fosse de Boulevard as the last of the leaders pushes out of the start gate. For this is Tomba, and his performance is not to be missed.
Another beautiful moment we had was the men's giant slalom, second one. All skiing at their very best, which means practically skiing identically. And Tomba, during his way down, was leading, and then he lost it, and he was leading again, and he lost it. And all of a sudden, I think he realized he was in danger of losing it all because he could hear the loudspeaker, I'm sure. And he let it go. And you could see the best skier in the world. For 5, 10, 8 gates, just, again, without friction, resistance, just let it go and won it. And that was absolutely magic. Again, years of hard work. It was absolutely beautiful. That's the Olympic magic. Only in the Olympic Games can you live moments like that, only in the Olympic Games.
Alberto Tomba has just become the first alpine athlete in Olympic history to win back-to-back gold medals in the same discipline.
Un grandissimo giorno per me e per l'Italia. Sono momenti indimenticabili. E veramente vale di più forse la vittoria anche di quest'anno, di l'anno scorso, che quelle di 4 anni fa. Quindi un gigante formidabile.
The picturesque village of Mirabel has seen medals awarded in all 5 women's alpine events. But though the hockey arena has been filled and active each night of the games, no medals have been awarded. Tonight, that will change. It was the Canadians' victory over the Czechs that got them into the final match, where defense comes to the fore. At the end of the second period, the Russians have made 25 shots on goal to the Canadians' 16, yet there is no score. The unified team finally picks up a goal early in the third period to take the lead, adding another as the match draws to a close. With 3 minutes to go, Canada finally scores, but the Russians answer with another goal just over a minute later. And when time runs out, the score stands Canada 1, the unified team 3. The Russians add another gold medal to a long list of hockey victories, and the Canadians go home with silver. With only the ladies left to skate in figures, the Albertville arena undergoes a temporary transformation. Pads along the railing, a ring of markers outlining a cramped oval, and the athletes, their elegant costumes replaced by sleek one-piece suits, helmets, and long skates, all combine to lend an air of anticipation not felt here before. An atmosphere of speed. This is short track, a rough and tumble version of speed skating where athletes challenge their ability to balance speed with control in tight curves. They skate in a pack, and while contact is forbidden by the rules, it sometimes seems unavoidable. Though its origins date to the beginning of the 20th century, it has been somewhat the outcast cousin to the more traditional long track speed skating. A demonstration sport in the '88 Games in Calgary, 4 events have received full medal status for the first time here in Albertville. In the locker room, the women wait their turn for the final event, the 500-meter sprint. The USA's Kathy Turner stopped competing in 1981 to pursue a singing career. But after watching the short track demonstration events at the Calgary Olympics in '88, she knew she belonged back on the ice. She began training again, and after a solid performance in the '91 World Championships, captured a spot on the Olympic squad. Since returning, she has earned a reputation as the most unpredictable skater in the sport. Many women are afraid to skate with her because her aggressive style has caused crashes in the past. Her mother and stepfather watch anxiously as she wins each of her heats without incident, making her way to the finals. Now it comes down to one last sprint for the gold. Head-to-head with the fastest skaters from the previous heats. China's Lei Yan, North Korea's Hwang Ok-sil, and the Netherlands' Monique Velsboer.
This is not a bad position to be for Kathy at this point in time. She's got somebody she can chase. She's been chasing Andy Gable all year long, and after 4 laps, the girl in front can tire.
She's in for silver at the moment, but here comes Leon trying to challenge Turner. Looks to the inside. Kathy Turner going to the outside, going for the goal. Kathy Turner of the United States going into first place.
She's got to skate comfortably now, skate fast, but watch how she comes out of the turns.
Del lap coming up. Final lap, 4 more turns. Kathy Turner in first. Leon of China in second. Yan is going to try the outside. As they come to the line, she comes to the inside. As they reach out. Kathy Turner of the United States has taken gold.
The elation is shared by her parents, and a disbelieving Kathy Turner soaks up the cheers of the crowd. Seven years after leaving the sport that had been much of her early life, Kathy Turner said she had lost her identity. Tonight, in Albertville, she found it again, engraved in Olympic gold. Rising out of the heart of the Trois-Vallées, the infamous Roc de Fer towers over the village of Maribel. It is here that the best athletes in women's alpine skiing will test their mettle against the most difficult of all alpine disciplines, the giant slalom. Coming into these games, the odds were with World Cup favorites like defending gold medalist Vreni Schneider from Switzerland, France's hometown favorite Carol Merle, and World Cup champion Petra Kronberger of Austria. Hopes are strong for an American medal here as well, with Diane Roth-Steinrotter, Eva Twardokens, and Julie Parisian all skiing well. But the real battle will not come down to one athlete versus another. It will be fought against this rugged mountain on one of the toughest courses in the world.
I came out charging, got halfway down the course, and I almost fell on one turn, boom, then I almost fell again, and I just chickened out. I didn't have the guts. I didn't have the guts to really charge the rest of the course. I just was, that doesn't happen that often to me. I got down to the bottom, and I didn't even want to look. I looked up, I was 8th or 5th or whatever when I came down, and I thought, that's not going to hold. I blew it. But what I forgot to look at was how close the times were.
When it was all over, the top 9 finishers, including all 3 Americans, are all within 1 second of each other. Austria's Ulrike Meyer had turned in the fastest run of them all, with a surprising Swede, Pernilla Wiberg, right behind her. The second half of this event promises to be a wide-open race for the medals.
In preparation for the second run, I just kept going around on the bottom and free skiing on the hill a little bit and inspecting the course again on the bottom, because I knew that's where the race is won or lost. I mean, everyone can ski pretty close on the top half of the course, but the bottom is where I blew it on the first run and where I was gonna have to have some guts. I couldn't talk to anyone. The coaches didn't bother to even say anything. They just knew. I mean, I did not want to hear anything from anyone. I knew what I had to do.
What she had to do was pull herself up from 9th place, a full second out of 1st. For a sport measured in hundredths of a second, it might as well be an hour.
In the start gate for the second run, I was fairly relaxed because I knew that I had nothing to lose, and I knew that I had to pull something out of my pocket in a big way. So when I got onto the course, I just said, I'm going to tear this course to pieces. And just trying to get as much speed as I could off the top. Whenever I was scared or I thought I was going too straight or had too much speed coming into turn, I just said, keep going, deal with it, keep going, keep rolling. I got done through the finish and I knew, you know, when I looked up and I saw that I was in first place, I said, that's great, but how far ahead am I? I didn't care that, you know, I had come down and was the leader at the time. There were 8 more people behind me who could come down and beat me.
And come they did, beginning with her teammates, Bardokans, followed by Parisienne and Merrill of France, but none can top her time. Then Austria's Wachter breaks the spell. She is nearly 8/10 slower on this run, but her combined time is enough for a rare tie. With only 2 more racers to come, the U.S. is assured of its 2nd Alpine medal of the Games. What color remains to be seen. 21-year-old Pernilla Wiberg of Sweden charged up the World Cup ladder in the last 2 seasons, improving from 45th overall to 7th, and picking up a gold medal at the '91 World Championships in this event. Still, she is a surprise leader here at the Olympics. Apparently, no one told her that, and she turns in the fastest 2nd run of the day to take over first place. After winning a gold medal in Super G at the '89 World Championships, Austrian Ulrike Maier stayed home for a season to give birth to her daughter. She was back in '91, though, winning a 2nd consecutive World Championship gold in Super G and finishing 2nd to Wiberg in GS. But today was not to be her day. Though she had the 3rd fastest combined time, there would be no bronze medal awarded in this event. For the first time in these Olympics, 2 silver medals go to Anita Wachter of Austria and an elated Diane Roth-Steinrotter of the USA.
It's no fun to be 4th, and everything that I've worked for and all my dreams is for an Olympic medal.
The last of the figure skating events combines beauty and talent in delicately feminine packages. The inherent beauty of the ladies themselves is enhanced by exquisite costumes and flowing moves. In the original program, it shines brightest on a pair of Americans. Christy Yamaguchi and Nancy Kerrigan were 2/3 of an American medal sweep at the '91 World Championships, taking gold and bronze respectively. Skating beautifully here, they now hold down the top 2 spots.
Probably when I won Worlds in '91, it was my first realization that I can actually be at the Olympics. The thought never crossed my mind that, you know, I can win a medal, and let alone win the gold medal. You know, up to that point, I never thought, okay, '92 is going to be the year where I go in and come away with my dreams.
Well, I don't go into competitions thinking of medals. I mean, a little bit more in the national championships so I can make it to Worlds. But besides that, not. Just personal best, you know. You have no control after you're done skating, so whatever happens, happens.
Japanese favorite Midori Ito, whose otherwise excellent performance is marred by a pair of falls, has to settle for 4th place after the short program behind Surya Bonale of France, who delights the home crowd with one of her best performances ever. It is time for the free program, the final shot at a medal for the ladies of figure skating. One performance that will crown a new queen of the ice.
Surya Bonale, France.
For Bonale, the pressure is too much.
Kerrigan, États-Unis d'Amérique.
Next, it's Kerrigan's turn. Artistically, her skating is nearly flawless. But her program lacks the difficulty needed to get the technical marks that will hold her position. The door is opened for Midori Ito. After finishing 4th to the Americans at the World Championships, this Japanese powerhouse won the Trophy La Ligue competition in this very arena just 3 months earlier. Known for her powerful jumping ability, she wastes no time going after the most difficult moves in skating, including a quadruple. Even with a fall, her more difficult program moves her ahead of Kerrigan. But Yamaguchi will skate next, and the gold hangs in the balance.
I get nervous before every performance. I think just wanting to go out there and perform well, there's always like this thing, well, what if this happens, or what if that happens?
Christy Yamaguchi, États-Unis d'Amérique.
United States of America.
I've always felt that I've had a pretty lucky skating career, and you know, I always took things 1 year at a time, one competition at a time, and you know, I always knew what my long-term goal was, but there are small goals along the way that I worked hard towards, and I think that's what's helped me reach that big goal of competing at the Olympics. I remember coming off my long program, and you know, I was very happy with my performances, both performances. But in a way, I felt a little sad too, skating off the ice. I was like thinking, oh, is that it? You know, my time is over now.
And so, the U.S. captures its 5th gold medal in women's figure skating, and a bronze to go with it.
As we were waiting to step on the ice for the award ceremony, and I was standing back there with Nancy Kerrigan, and we were kind of looking at each other, okay, is this actually happening? Is this the Olympics or just, you know, some other little competition? And I'm like, no, okay, this is it.
Japan takes home the silver, the first figure skating Olympic medal ever won by any Far East nation.
I wouldn't have been there without my family and my coaches and friends. I mean, because it's like a team. The whole thing's a team because you can't do it by yourself. There's no way anyone can do it by themselves. Without my parents, my family, everybody, you know, and my coaches, you know, there to correct me and stuff, it wouldn't have happened. So I'm really lucky.
I think the Olympics this year was special because there were so many new countries involved, and it was neat to see them, you know, after such a struggle with their country falling apart, and then with these new countries coming into the Olympics with teams, and I think everyone was really proud to see that, and hopefully the Olympics can help them and you know, bring everyone together.
Philippe Découfflé once again brings his magical entertainment to celebrate the closing of these 16th Olympic Winter Games. The great French poet Lamartine wrote, "Each ending is a new beginning." And even as the flame is passed to the representatives of the next Olympics in Lillehammer, Norway, it remains in our hearts to keep alive the memories of Albertville.
On the long run, sports will always prevail on everything else because it's a mean of expression of, that is totally unique, and therefore you cannot replace it. And that's why we have worked, us French, so hard to please the Olympic movement, because we believe totally in its destiny.